Shields up, Ironbreakers. Welcome back to Granblue Fantasy Relink. I've been playing this game for over 100 hours at this point, and one of the first bottlenecks that I ran into whenever it came to character progression was that of the Fortitude crystals. And some of you might be wondering, Rurikhan, why do you need so many Fortitude crystals? And for that, let me give you an example with our man Eugen over here. So let's say you're playing Eugen, and you've chosen the Leviathan muzzle to be your main weapon, which is one of the first weapons that becomes available for you to craft, and it is also the weapon that comes with critical hit rate as well as critical damage. So it is a logical choice for people that understand the way that RPG stats work. Even though when it comes to Granblue Fantasy Relink, the reality is your most desirable stat is going to end up being damage cap, because you're going to hit damage cap very fast whenever you get to endgame. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother discussion. You've chosen the Leviathan muzzle as your main weapon, and therefore you're like, I want to upgrade this weapon all the way, because that is going to ensure that I get all of the attack bonuses in the weapon, as well as all of the mastery nodes for that weapon, which will ensure that I am min-maxing my character appropriately, right? You see, the problem with that particular analogy is that when it comes to Granblue Fantasy Relink, even if the weapon is not equipped, you still benefit from the mastery nodes of said weapon. So even if you are just using the Leviathan muzzle, if you happen to level up the AK-4A, these attack nodes are also going to benefit you, even though you are not having that weapon equipped. And this is going to lead you to the realization that, oh, in order to properly min-max my character, I should go ahead and level up every single weapon and upgrade every single weapon. And when you reach that particular conclusion, you're going to run over to the blacksmith, you're going to get to work, right? You're going to come over here and you're going to be like, very well, let's say for instance at this point you're min-maxing Jita because I already upgraded everything that Eugen has. And you're going to go, oh, let's uncap the max level of this weapon. Now, uncapping the max level of the weapon is going to be fairly simple. You have the material list here. If there's a material that you do not know where it comes from, you can go to details, like I've showed you guys in my guide video, and you can add that particular material to your wish list, which then will enable you to look for specific quests that give you this material. When it comes to the actually leveling up of the weapon, which is what comes after you uncap its max level, you're going to very quickly run out of these Fortitude crystals. And that is when you're going to realize, damn, Rurikhan was right. I'm going to need to farm the crap out of these crystals. And that is the whole point of this video, for me to tell you how to farm these crystals in the most appropriate manners. So let's take a look at our quest counter over here. Now, one of the first things that I'm going to tell you is you might feel tempted from the moment that you begin playing the game and the quest counter unlocks. You might feel like, oh, maybe I should just jump into the quest counter and start farming out these materials. But the reality is, I wouldn't really recommend doing this until you're much further ahead in the game, because they're going to give you a decent chunk of these materials if you just do the basic exploration. And even if you don't do that much exploration, the story mode is so easy that it shouldn't be challenging to the point where you feel that you need to grind. But I hear you. You're going to tell me, Rurikhan, you promised that you were going to tell me how to get these Fortitude crystals. I want to grind them when I'm on easy difficulty. Okay, very well. The quest to take on would be guard our hometown. This is a quest, and the way that you can see that this quest is going to give you the materials that you want is you can click the quest and then you can hit square for details or whatever the button happens to be on the PC side of things. That will take you to the reward screen. You'll notice this gives you Fortitude shards. Now, this particular quest, since I've tested it, it also gives you Fortitude shards S. So that's the tier above the Fortitude shard. So this is going to be a good quest for you to farm in the eventuality that you want to grind this at lower levels. Again, I wouldn't recommend it, but if that's something that you want to do, this quest will get you sorted. Same thing if you're on normal, you can do Sweep the Volcano over here, and this will also get you sorted. If you are on hard mode, we're going to back away. We're going to go again, quest by type. Going to go to Horde, and there is a hard quest here called Rule the Skies. Now, Rule the Skies has a particularity that requires you to use a ether cannon, so it's not the most, shall we say, intuitive quest. So instead of that, you might want to do Unthinning the Troops, which is a much more traditional quest. Jump in there, kill a bunch of goblins. This would be the quest that I would recommend if you're into hard difficulty and you really want to go farm these crystals. Now, beyond that, Once you reach very hard, you have this one over here, absolutely no trespassers. Again, this is a conquest quest. You're going to go absolutely no trespassers. Once again, you see that you have Fortitude Crystal L on this one, which is pretty decent. It's all right, but again, not necessarily what I would recommend if you really want to grind. This is just, oh, I'm at very hard difficulty and I want to upgrade weapons, whatever. You can go do this one. But one of the better quests to get you started is actually Great Goblins of Fire. And we're going to be clearing that one real quick so that I can just show you what you can expect from one of these quests. So Great Goblins of Fire is going to be available on the extreme difficulty. It is not a super hard quest depending on the progression level that you're at. In my particular case, my characters are pretty beefy at this point, even though there's still plenty of upgrades for me to do, because it was only in the last couple of days that I really started Fortitude crystal farming. But you know, you jump into this quest. Once you get into the quest, we're going to see a bunch of goblins show up. Just go ahead, kill everything as fast as you possibly can. Most of the quests that involve crystals are going to be quests like this, or defense quests. Defense quests usually consist of you going ahead and defending a crystal. Let me lower the volume here. I think it's a little bit on the high end. I don't want to burst your eardrums while I'm just trying to explain a quest to you. Usually I even tend to do this quest with a melee character because, I don't know, I just find it easier to jump through here with a melee character. Now, one of the things that I am going to call out to your attention is that you want to pay attention to these red lines that are going to show up. These can actually be dangerous depending on what progression point you're at with your characters, because those are poison archers and they are very, very annoying. And I know some of you guys are going to say, oh man, Rurikhan, this quest actually seems like a chore at this point. It's not, okay? Trust me, this quest's fairly easy. I did it very early on to get some early grind on, and it is not that hard. So, I'm going to get these bad boys down. As you can see, this is a fairly quick quest to do. Sure, if your character's not that leveled up yet, it's going to take you a little bit longer. And again, pay attention to those poison archers, because they're really annoying. And I'm also going to show you guys a sigil that you'll be able to get later. I'll show that to you guys at the end of the video, because you'll notice that my character is not flinching, okay? And that is a very good thing when it comes to doing quests in this game. Because, yeah, if you're not flinching, you can just keep life-stealing through most of the attacks, and you're going to be just fine, assuming that you're dishing out enough damage. One of the things that I've come to accept when it comes to Granblue Fantasy is that this isn't a game that is just about challenge or anything. This is a game where you're intended to break the game in so many different ways. And it is, you know, it's kind of like, you guys have played Path of Exile, you know, how you max out a character to the point where you just run through the map and shred everything. That's kind of like what they're doing over here with Granblue Fantasy Relink. As you see, we're about 2 minutes into the quest. You can see the timer on the top right-hand side. By the way, my apologies for the quality of this video, because I'm recording from home, and it's different from studio. I need to get a capture card or whatever. But, as you can see, finished the quest around 2 minutes. It's not super hard or anything like that. And as you can see, Fortitude Crystal just like stacking up in my inventory. Now, this also gives you a lot of Fortitude Crystal M's, which is not ideal, but usually most of the quests that give you Fortitude Crystal L's are also going to give you some M's, which is not bad by any stretch, but they're not as optimal as L's. You obviously want the large crystals. Now, as you can see, we're going to get S++ in the quest, and if we look here, we have 1 Fortitude Crystal L, 2, 3 Fortitude Crystal L's, plus 7. That's, nope, these are mediums. So that's 3 larges plus 5 larges, that's 8 larges plus 2 larges, that's 10. Now, don't expect to always get 10. You can get anywhere between like 7 to 10. 10 is kind of like on the high end. We were actually kind of lucky here, but you also get a bunch of the medium ones, right? You have 7 mediums here, plus 10 mediums here, plus 14 mediums here, and even a couple of smalls. Now, smalls really suck at this point in the game, but you know, it's still a pretty decent quest, and then you can hit square, whatever button you have to repeat the quest, and this will allow you to repeat the quest. Now, I'm not going to repeat this one. This was just to show you guys what one of the better quests is. But let's say, you know, Rurikhan, I need something better. If you need something better, you're going to have to go to a higher level of difficulty, and that is where things get really interesting. because there are some really good quests in here. So we're going to go into the Maniac difficulty. This is where things start getting really interesting. But here's the thing. Even if you can't do solo quests in Maniac difficulty because you haven't leveled up your characters enough or whatever, stay tuned to the video. And there's actually going to be chapters in the video because I'm going to tell you of a method where you can even do it AFK in Extreme, which is also a very, very efficient way of doing things. So anyways, let's talk about the one that you can do on the harder difficulty. If you keep scrolling through the Maniac quests, you'll find these quests if you look at the description on the bottom right-hand side that say defeat 2 things. And these are the ones that you want to be focusing on. So you have here Revenge of the Hordes, Serenity upon the Mount, and Roost and Rain. These are the 3 quests you're looking for. Okay? Now the Rock Golems one, I think I did this one. I don't think this one was as good. Yeah, this one doesn't even have it in the reward, so it's not as good. So these are the ones you want to focus on. Either the 2 Goblins, the 2 Nazar Bonju, or the 2 Griffins. Now, the way that you're going to want to choose the quest that you farm on is going to be 2 things. First, can I kill this quest super fast? So I would recommend try these quests out, do them yourself. I think that probably the easiest one might be the 2 Griffins, because you can kind of like dodge a lot of their stuff and they do get annoying when they enrage and all that stuff. But I find that the Goblin Warriors can be a little bit more frustrating before you can get your Stout Heart, which we'll talk about in a second here. And then there's the Nazar Bonju, which I think are probably going to be the hardest one. So yeah, I think that the Griffins might be the most reliable one. Now that is tip number 1. You got to figure out, can I do this quest reasonably fast? The other thing is, do I need materials from this quest? Because as you can see, this quest is going to give you Valley Blooms, Tempest Stones, and if you go to drop items, you can also get stuff from breaking these Griffins, which in this case is going to be things like the Griffin, the Giant Beak, and the Griffin Talon. So these might be materials that you need for other purposes, in which case, you know, you get together with the purpose of getting your crystals, and at the same time you get these materials. So I would recommend go over these 3 quests, figure out if these are materials that you might need, like here you have the Broken Savage Sword and the Great Shield Fragment. And if we go over to the Nazar Bonju, you have the Chilling Demon Eye and the Bizarre Ice Spine. So if you need these materials, choose the quests based on that. But again, remember the most important thing is how fast can I actually do this quest? Now, like I said, I recommend maybe the 2 Griffins. I think that one might be the easiest one. So I'm going to show you guys what this one looks like. Again, very much like the Goblin quest, you're going to get into a scenario where you're going to be expected to run through the map, kill a bunch of dudes. The only difference is at the end of this map, there's going to be 2 Griffins, okay? And you have to kill those 2 Griffins, which means your NPCs need to be up to a certain standard. Now, I would recommend at least include Eugen or Rackham in your team for this quest, so that they can just shoot these birds out of the sky real fast. Eugen and Rackham are really good. There might be other ranged characters. Naturally, I haven't really played every single character because the game has so many, and I've been focusing on just becoming the best Eugen I can possibly be. So you're going to go through, going to kill those birds. And then we're going to move on to this clearing. There's going to be a couple of wyverns that are going to pop up. I'm going to go into sniper mode here, just blast them out of the sky. Dead. Yeah, my Eugen is dealing beast mode damage. Even though a lot of people say that Eugen's completely broken and overpowered, it's like, look, most characters in this game are broken and overpowered. I finished the last boss with Percival, and we did S++ first try. And I don't even think that Percival is that powerful, but, you know, whatever. I still think he's a really fun character, and he can be pretty busted. As you can see, we're also getting some Fortitude Crystal M's just from killing the monsters here. You're going to get a lot of Fortitude Crystal M's while we are farming this. So, again, make sure to use those first, and you will eventually cap these out. Now, once you get to this point, this is when you really just want to burst out. You want to completely blow everything you got on this first Griffin to make sure that you deal as much damage as possible before the second Griffin comes in, because the second Griffin is going to show up very fast. So let's go ahead. Oh, hello. There we go. Yeah, that's all the damage right there. Come on. Jesus. Why is he so far away? There. He's busted. Let's go ahead, put some poison on him. I was fighting from a little bit too far. Shoot this. He's gonna go all in rage and stuff. He's gonna be all mad. Okay, be mad with some grenades on top of you. Now, this is why I said you really gotta check out if this is something that you can do reasonably fast, because now there's gonna be two of them, and it's gonna get a little bit frustrating. I mean, again, depending on how powerful your characters are. You can also remember that you can do these in multiplayer, so you can just put these up for multiplayer, request other players to join you, maybe link some of your friends to the video, because they'll realize that, oh my god, we can really get a ton of friggin' crystals out of that quest that Rurikhan showed us. That's a good idea. And one of the griffins is broken. I'm gonna blast this one. Let's also get the broken one real quick. Put 3 grenades in your head. Blow you up to smithereens while my team is taking care of the other one. Nice. Oh my. He's big mad. Don't be mad. Be dead so that I can get more Fortitude crystals to power up my weapons and become an even deadlier killing machine. As you can see, that griffin is now dead. Now I understand a lot of you guys are watching this and you're going like, wait a minute, Rurikhan. Your character's not even getting affected by, you know, you're not staggering from taking damage. Like I said, I'll show you guys that at the end of the video. It is one beast of a grind in order to do that, so be aware. Alright. Let's go ahead and get this. Have some more grenades, sir. And the poison, and the break, and a couple of shots to the face. There. And that was like 3 minutes and change, give or take. Now naturally, depending on how far along you are in the progression, this might take a little bit longer. It is still most definitely worth it to do this farm. As you guys will see, we'll probably get a couple of them here in this chest. I think you usually get like 7 straight from one of these chests. 7 large ones. And then you'll get a bunch of them in the rewards as well. So there it is. Oh, we only got 5. We got unlucky. Usually you get 7. It's more common for me to get 7 in this quest than 5, but it's not a big deal, because you're going to get a lot more in the rewards, as you guys will see here. Alright, here we are. Roost and Rain. Boom. Now, 7 Fortitude Crystals L, plus 7 Fortitude Crystals L, plus 7 Fortitude Crystals L, plus 3 Fortitude Crystals L. That is a combined total of 24. Because 7 plus 7, 7, 21, 24. And we also have 8 crystals M plus 5 crystals L. That's 29 crystals L. I think that's a pretty good haul for like less than 5 minutes of investment of time. Again, depending on where your characters are when it comes to progression. Now, like I said, these are the same results that you are going to be getting for any of the 3 quests that I pointed out to you. Again, you just go in here, undertake quest, go to Maniac difficulty, and look around for the ones that say 2. Either the 2 Goblin Warriors, the 2 Nazar Bonju, or the 2 Griffins. These will give you those same level of rewards. So if you want to mix things up, you're like, oh, I'm tired of hunting Griffins, go get these Nazar Bonju. Or, oh, I'm tired of hunting Nazar Bonju, go get the Goblin Warriors. Variety is the spice of life, and these are the 3 quests that you're going to want to go do the most if you want to be actively farming these things. Now, what if you're like, okay, but this is still too much, and right now I'm just getting a little bit bored of doing these 3 quests over and over and over again. I want to go take a break. Now, usually I don't engage in this type of stuff, quite simply because I don't like the term of AFK farming. But if a game is being as stingy as this one when it comes to Fortitude crystals, alright, I'll engage in it a little bit. So you can AFK farm Fortitude crystals. The quest that you want to go do for that is in Veteran Skyfarer. You want to choose an extreme quest. Now, the reason we choose extreme quests to AFK farm is because you can turn on the full assist mode that this game has included on it. Now, the quest that you're looking for is Shedding Light on the Pillar. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to take this quest. And one of the things that I would definitely recommend is get at least a couple of ranged characters on your team, because that's probably going to make things a lot easier. But I don't think it's mandatory. Like, if you don't have a ranged character in your main roster of characters that you've been leveling up, you don't necessarily have to go out and level one. I don't think that's needed, but, you know, you are going to need to min-max your party to some extent. Now, I'm going to be swapping over to have Captain on my team here. We're going to go with Jita, and the reasoning is I want the AI to play Eugen, because I want them to be as efficient as possible at dispatching enemies, because the idea is that we are going to be AFK. So let's go ahead, depart on the quest so that I can show you guys what I'm talking about. So this quest basically consists of you defending a hallowed ground, which is one of those green pillars that we have in the game. And since you are defending it, it basically means you don't really have to move. And if you can turn on full assist, what is going to happen is the computer is going to play the game for you. So if we go game options, gameplay, assist mode, full assist mode. Now, this is going to make so that your character automatically attacks anything that comes in range. It automatically perfect dodges almost everything. It automatically triggers link attacks. Now, my party is a little bit too leveled up for this particular quest, so this means that almost nothing is even going to get to the hallowed ground. But if anything does get to the hallowed ground, as you can see, character is going to instantly start attacking. Anything that comes in range, your character is going to start attacking and dishing out damage. But usually the 3 members in your party should be able to take care of business. So all you got to do is you set up this quest and you wait for the 4-minute duration. Now, one of the limitations when it comes to AFK farming is, number one, the game has a system that I don't know if it was put in place specifically to prevent something like this from happening. Maybe the developers were like, hey, if we don't do something, people are just going to be able to AFK farm the crap out of our game. So one of the things that you need to do is this farm only lasts about 1 hour because there's a limited amount of time that the game repeats quests for you without your input. So after a certain number of quests, which like I said, I measured at about an hour of quests, what happened was the game asked me, hey, do you want to continue repeating this quest? It's almost like Netflix, right? When Netflix, after you've watched a certain amount of hours of Netflix goes like, hey, are you still watching? Can we pause this? Like, what are we doing, right? And this game has a system like that. And eventually it kicks you back to town. So you're going to be expected to check in on your character every hour. But other than that, there really are no limitations. So what we're going to do here, I'm spinning the camera, I'm not really playing the game, but I can move the character over here. It's not a big deal. You don't have to do any input at all, like I said. As you can see, the character is playing itself. I'm not pressing any buttons. This is just full assist mode. Look at that. It even perfect dodges. It's so insane. But like I was saying, so what we're going to do is you have to wait the first time that you clear the quest because you're going to want to set that quest to repeat so that the computer continues repeating that quest over and over and over again. Another thing that you need to do, I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but during loading screens, there's an option for the game to automatically advance whenever it loads. You have to turn that on. You press the start button at the loading screen, and whenever there's a loading screen, the game automatically presses continue when the loading is over. So these are the things that you need to set up. So full assist on your character, like I showed you here. Game options, gameplay, full assist mode. Leave that on there. Your character will play for itself for a little bit. And then once we get into the loading screen, which is going to be about a minute from now, we're going to press the start button so that it automatically skips the loading screen. And then when you get to the reward screen, you're going to press square to set the quest to repeat. And it will just keep repeating this quest for about an hour. And then you need to come back, check in on it, and do the setup thing again, and it will farm for you for another hour. As you can see, we now have the maximum amount of Fortitude crystals M, which we're like at 950 when I started the video, give or take, so that's not really that many, but, you know, gives you an idea. As you can see, completely just AFK farming this quest, and you should get S++, but even if you don't get S++, you will still get a decent chunk of crystals, but naturally, you want to optimize your party to be able to protect this properly so that it survives with at least 50% HP, because you're not going to be doing the thrown objects thing because you're basically AFKing through the quest, right? But yeah, this is the quest shedding light on the pillar or whatever the hell the name of the quest was that I showed you earlier. Jump in here, protect this solid ground. You don't even have to do anything. Characters do everything. And boom. Time's up. You win. We've completed 2 conditions, as you can see there, which should be enough to push us into the high score. Now, another good thing about this quest, it doesn't have chests at the end. Since it doesn't have chests at the end, it's going to do this, and it's not going to give you those 30 seconds of waiting. It just gives you quest cleared, and it jumps into the reward screen. Now, each of these screens has like 30 seconds to go through, or 40 seconds to go through, or whatever it is. You guys will see right here. Yeah, so it's 30 seconds to give you the score. And after that, it moves on to the reward screen. I'm going to press X to skip this a little bit faster. Once you get to the reward screen, as you can see right here, this is going to give you less crystals than the previous method, but the advantage of this one is that you're AFK. You're not actively contributing. So you get 2 large crystals right here, plus 5 large crystals from the side goal rewards. And then you're also going to get 10 mediums, which is alright. It's not the best, but it's alright. You can get more, like I've gotten considerably more from this quest than just 10 mediums in some occasion. But anyway, as you are setting this up, you're going to hit square, repeat, boom, and then, 15 seconds from now, we'll start another quest. And I'm just going to hit the next button so that you can see. It's going to give us a loading screen. I'm actually going to pause this at the loading screen because the important thing is, like I told you, you get to these loading screens, and as you can see, it now says next. But the lower left-hand side, auto skip. You want to make sure that that is turned on. Boom, and you're good to go. Now you can set your controller down, and the quest will continue going by itself, like I said, for about an hour. Because after an hour, it's not an hour, it's probably a number of quests. The game's going to go like, hey, are you still playing the game? And then you're going to tell it, yes, please continue doing this quest. And the game will continue doing it, and no, so on and so forth. Now I'm going to abandon here because I feel like I've already made my point. And this is a very, very efficient way of farming. That's how I've gotten a lot of my crystals, I'll admit, because like I said, it's like they need to sprinkle more of these crystals throughout the quest. Like, for instance, I've done the final boss like 20, 30 times the other day because I was grinding terminus weapons. And it's like, bro, you're going to have me do this boss and I get no crystals whatsoever for it? Like, what the hell? I don't want to be grinding the same quests over and over. It gets a little bit boring. Now, another thing that I also want to point out, just in case you guys want to get this, the sigil that lets you basically take hits without staggering is called Stout Heart. This is a very good sigil. You might want to farm this. You can see the materials that are in there. All these materials are relatively easy. The hardest thing to get is this Tayutar head unit. This is a pain in the ass. It's a little robot monster. You have to blow out 4 of his legs before he goes into overdrive. Then you have to blow up his head. So that is a bit annoying, but you can get it done, and you can get that sigil, and that sigil is going to be very useful for you as you play through this game. But anyways, that is my guide to farming Fortitude crystals. Hopefully this helps you out in maxing out your characters and having a good time. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe, bell notification icon, all of that jazz. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe, peace out.